This is a poem by William Blake. It's the second one I've done, I think. And I'm doing this for my university in Moscow primarily. But, you know, it's general as well. And it's a great poem. It's a poem by William Blake. William Blake is often misunderstood. I remember when I was at school, I was taught some slight rubbish by my art teacher who wanted to sound very knowledgeable about William Blake and started blabbering on about Gnosticism. Well, Blake was a Gnostic. This means that he thought that the spiritual world was greater than the physical world, or that our beings had descended from the spiritual world and had been encased in matter. But unlike the ancients, Blake's understanding of Gnosticism was not that this world was bad. And this world, for Blake, was wonderful, but mysterious. Now let's try it. Tyger, tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand, what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tyger, tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Now, those of you who've watched some of my videos in the past will know that I've got a cat who's making quite a racket in the background too, so I have my own personal tyger. But this is a poem about the problem of evil. I've made a film about that too. The problem of evil. How could a great, good God permit evil? How could a loving, compassionate God make a thing like the tyger? But the tyger is not just an image of evil. God, for Blake, is the divine blacksmith who allows mystery into the world. When Blake is talking, he's expanding time and space. He's thinking beyond the immediate to see the reality. The reality is beyond what I see. He says elsewhere, to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. This is in the Auguries of Innocence. But what we see that is immediate, what we see here and now, is not everything. In this poem, we've got 6 quatrains, rhyming couplets, 4 lines in each stanza. We've got a very persistent rhythm, which echoes the beating of the divine blacksmith, written in 1794 and published with the Songs of Experience. This is a poem which is filled with metaphor and allusion. Think of the metaphor right at the beginning. Tyger, tyger, burning bright. Burning, that yellow fur, orange fur, burning fire, roaming the forest, roaming the jungle. But the illustration that Blake uses, here is my cat, the illustration that Blake uses to complement the poem itself is of rather a docile-looking tyger. For Blake, art is creation. Art is what brings the spiritual into matter. Art raises us to what he calls the perception of the infinite. Blake was hostile to the idea that we should reduce nature to the sciences of chemistry and physics and maths. He was hostile to the rationalists of the Enlightenment who dismissed the mystical. The mystical is the tyger. The mystical is the God, or Elohim, whatever we want to call God. Fearful symmetry. Is this God, or is this the tyger? Big, mysterious, feared. And the second stanza, in what distant deeps or skies, this is definitely about God. And we can think of Blake's hero, John Milton, who'd written Paradise Lost. So when we think of this fearful symmetry, we think of maybe the lamb and the tyger. We think of innocence and experience. We think of reason and nature. We think of enigma. We think of the elusive animal and the elusive God. We think of the word fear is used not only for things we are frightened of, but also that we fear God. My own name, Timothy, is resonant with that idea. I fear God, Timotheos. But think of Christ. Think of Christ. On the one hand, we have the pacifist, but on the other hand, we have the liberator. We have the advocate of the oppressed. We have the mystic. We have the visionary. But it's a visionary who defies explanation. But let's go on a little bit further, because the symbols of Blake are essential. The idea of loss, the idea of the idea of Gnosticism itself, the idea that a spiritual being is coming down and dealing with us. This is the essence of the tyger burning bright. And remember, that first stanza and that last stanza are changed. The one word is changed, could and dare. What immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? No one comes anywhere close to God. No one comes anywhere close to understanding the problem of evil.